Black Friday hassle-free with low prices on Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs. And get $750 Black Friday bonus cash on select Ford vehicles on top of all other offers.
It's an inside deal.
Now for everyone.
With Ford.
We are continuing to keep a close eye on any developments in Colorado Springs tonight. We know 2 civilians and a University of Colorado Springs police officer were killed during a violent 5-hour standoff at a Planned Parenthood clinic this afternoon. Sources tell 9 wants to know that authorities had not yet entered the Planned Parenthood building where this shooting occurred, but they do believe there are additional fatalities inside of the building. The shooter has been identified as Robert Louis Deere. We are working to learn more information about him tonight. The officer who was killed has been identified as Garrett Swayze. He was 44 years old and was a 6-year veteran of the police department. 9 others, including 5 officers and 4 civilians, were transported to local hospitals. We are told that they are all in good condition tonight. One of those victims was parked in the Planned Parenthood parking lot when that shooting began.
He was aiming at me, and I just hit the gas, and he started shooting, and I was looking at his face. I think I had 10 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds to look at him, to try to remember who he was, why he was doing that, or whatever.
All I can say is my heart's broken. This is a really, really tough situation for a lot of people in our community and the community at large.
And we will be sure to update you with any new information about the shooting as it becomes available.
Hey, Connecticut State. This is 9 News.
Tonight, a community is mourning following yesterday's shooting in Colorado Springs. Here is what we know. 3 people were killed, including Garrett Swayze, a University of Colorado Springs police officer. He was a father, husband, pastor, and a national championship-winning figure skater. We'll hear from some of the people that knew him best in just a moment. Tonight, we still do not know the names of the 2 civilians killed yesterday. Now, 9 others yesterday were shot and wounded. Police say the victims are in good condition tonight. Some have already been released from the hospital, but a few still remain at Penrose, St. Francis, and Memorial hospitals.
A team of several agencies, including local police and the FBI, say 3 other Colorado Springs officers were injured yesterday, though not by gunfire. They are expected to make a full recovery. In a moment, we will have more on the man police say is responsible, but first, we focus on the victims. Mourners created a small memorial outside of the Planned Parenthood office today. They placed flowers at the scene, just one of many tributes to those who lost their lives. 9 News reporter Anastasia Bolton attended another vigil honoring the fallen officer, and she is live tonight from the Springs. Anastasia?
Mark, good evening. Well, the crowd just left, just seconds ago. It was a full house for the nighttime vigil honoring Officer Swayze. Inside, let's take you inside and show you some of the folks who were there. There were lots of speakers. It started inside of the basketball court. It was a packed house. The mayor spoke, the police chief spoke, the 2 pastors who worked with Officer Swayze. He was reportedly a very religious man. A lot of people were crying. It was an emotional time, obviously, because for a small department here, only 18 officers, this was one of them. This is a family member. And you know what? Law enforcement always says we are all a big family. So this is just a microcosm of just a tiny police department that is hurting really, really badly tonight. One of the speakers said today that, you know what? This is not the end of watch for Garrett Swayze. This is the beginning of watch. One of his pastors said that. One of his pastors also said that Garrett would have forgiven the shooter because he is a man of God and he is about forgiveness. We'll bring you much more coming up at 10 o'clock. We'll take you outside to the vigil where there was really not a place to stand. It's a really small plaza behind me, and it was packed with police officers, students, and faculty who were there to pay tribute to this officer. It was a student-organized vigil, which is important to point out because that means it just shows what Officer Garrett Swayze meant to the community here.
Some very difficult moments in the Springs, no question. Anastasia Bolton reporting live. Thank you, Anastasia.
Away from his life as an officer, family and friends are remembering Swayze as a loving father and a top-tier ice skater. 9 News reporter Jonathan Gonzalez heard from some of the people who knew him best. Jonathan.
Christine, his father, a friend, and a former teammate gave us a glimpse today into the kind of man Swayze was off-duty, someone they describe as selfless. Melrose, Massachusetts was where University of Colorado police officer Garrett Swayze once called home.
We're speechless, and his hometown community will do whatever it takes to support his family during this incredibly tragic time.
From his high school friend Robert Dolan to family friend, Olympic medalist Nancy Kerrigan.
He was one of my best friends.
They all remember the man and the boy who was once a championship-level ice skater just like she was.
Garrett and I skated together since we were children.
Kerrigan remembers when Swayze's father, David, would drive them to practice.
They're like family and truly instrumental in my life and in my growing up as a person and in my career.
You're the one that had a license for what shelter he is, so Nancy Kerrigan is almost like an adopted daughter.
David Swayze texted Kerrigan the news.
Now when I reached out, I thought, now I know I texted, because to say these words were really, really difficult to do, so.
Swayze's friends and family all remember him the exact same way.
When I was competing, he would always wait till the crowd would be quiet to yell, and so I would know he was there.
He was top-notch, first class, but I'm not just saying that because I'm his dad.
They all remember a man with a good heart, because that's simply who Swayze was.
And he wasn't. He was a good police officer, children. I'm sure that he tried to save somebody's life. That cost him his.
Always, putting someone else first.
Swayze leaves behind a wife and 2 kids. Swayze's father says Garrett was a huge New England Patriots fan, but that his son was a huge Broncos fan, and they were looking forward to the game this weekend. Christine, you can only imagine how tough this is. Everything is for that family at this time.
And for those kids to not have their father to look forward to, it's absolutely heartbreaking. And I know that a family friend has created a You Caring account for Elijah and Faith, the 2 kids that, to reach out to help is wonderful.
That's what they need at this time, right? And it looks like all of his friends and family have done that. We actually have the link to that fund on our website, 9news.com right now. Kerrigan did tell a funny story about how when they were younger, he would always go play with the boys, go play football because he was so tired of always being around all the girls with figure skating and whatnot. And so
their skirts and the glitter.
She always said he was really funny and everything, and so just that kind of showed a little bit more about the man behind the badge.
And I think that we're going to continue hearing those stories as the days, the months, the years move forward, because that's how we remember people that are lost.
Absolutely.
All right, Jonathan, thank you.
Yeah.
The suspect in the Colorado Springs shooting had ties to both North and South Carolina, but moved to Colorado about a year ago. 9 Wants to Know investigator Kevin Vaughn spent today looking into his background.
His neighbors in Colorado say he kept to himself. And while a man by the same name has a minor criminal record in both of the Carolinas during the past 18 years, other details about the suspect are hard to find. Police finally took 57-year-old Robert Louis Deere Jr. into custody at 4:52 p.m. on Friday, 5 hours and 14 minutes after the first report of gunfire came in at the Planned Parenthood clinic in Colorado Springs. He's now in custody in the El Paso County Jail, waiting for a 1:30 p.m. court appearance on Monday. In October of 2014, he spent $6,000 to buy 5 acres of undeveloped property near Hartselle in Park County, about an hour west of Colorado Springs. We talked to one of his neighbors there, who said she often saw the suspect in a woman she assumed was his wife.
They would never wave or stop and say hi, which is kind of odd, because people in Hartselle, we all know everybody, and with me being a realtor in that town, I pretty much know everybody, or everybody knows me.
We also talked to the owner of the only gas station in Hartselle, who said the suspect bought gas there but never said much. The Park County Sheriff has sealed off the property for the investigation. The neighbor we spoke with told us what's there.
It has an RV on it, and I guess over the summer he's put up a fence. He put in a wood-burning stove inside that RV, and he has a shed maybe for whatever.
The suspect registered to vote in Colorado in 2014 as an unaffiliated voter. He kept a P.O. box at the post office in Hartselle, but he wasn't known to people at the only restaurant in town. Kevin Vaughn, 9 News.
The head of Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains and Colorado Springs Mayor John Suthers are crediting the clinic's security for helping to save a lot of lives. Mayor Suthers says SWAT teams were able to tap into the clinic's surveillance system during the last hour of the siege. That allowed them to track the gunman's movements in the building and rescue people who were hiding in other parts of the building. Vicki Coworth, the president of the Planned Parenthood chapter, says she believes the gunman never made it past the waiting area of the clinic. He would have needed a security badge to unlock doors. Coworth says all of her staffers trained for active shooting situations and that training may have saved lives.
They got everybody out of harm's way, into locked rooms, hunkered down, quieted their cell phones, textbook following of what you're supposed to do in case of a live shooter in a building.
Coworth says 15 of her employees were in the clinic. All employees are safe. She also said her office had no specific threat in advance of the attack.
Still ahead on 9 News, the storm system that could disrupt the tail end of holiday travel. Parts of the country already seeing floods and ice are bracing for even more rain.